and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel today, guys, where yes, we are going to be discussing Barca's slump in form. We suffered yet again last night, losing at home to Rayo Vallecano. That was Barca's third successive home defeat. What exactly is going wrong with this team right now? What has changed? And what can Xavi do to turn this form around? We are going to be discussing it all. And I know that right now, guys, none of us are enjoying this run of form. But if you are enjoying the videos at least, if you please could remember to give a like, which will really help me keep afloat with the YouTube algorithm. So let's discuss it all now. Come on. Because first of all, Xavi did of course come out after the game, and I have to say, as always, he was brutally honest. He laid it all on the line. He said we are in a difficult period, but he said we have to stay united as a group. He said I understand the criticism that is coming, and he said we are all to blame, but the person who is most responsible as the coach, that is me. He said I'm angry, I'm annoyed, I am disappointed, and you could see very, very clearly that that's exactly how he was feeling. And that's what I want to say first of all, that Xavi, throughout his time as a player, and indeed now as a coach, he is somebody who's going to front up. If something has gone wrong, if he himself has made a mistake, we're going to talk about that later, he will accept it. And not only that, but I think he will learn from it too. Because you got to remember here, this is a young coach who is still learning. He's got young players who are still learning too. There are going to be bumps in the road. There are going to be setbacks. This team is not perfect. We are well aware of that now, but what exactly has gone wrong? And I do think it's interesting, because firstly, I think what we cannot do, guys, is forget what the team were doing, what this team under Xavi were capable of. The teams that we were destroying literally weeks ago, going to the Bernabeu, winning by 4-0. And it wasn't just that. That was not a one-off result. You look at our February, hitting 4 goals there past Atleti, Napoli, Valencia, Athletic Club. Whoever came in our way, we were absolutely destroying them. And this is why it's interesting for me, because I feel as though this Barcelona team, Xavi's Barca, have performed much, much better in the bigger games. Against the better teams, we have raised our level. We have arrived on that occasion, but when it comes to the so-called smaller teams, when it comes to those maybe who don't have the same ambition to go forward and leave spaces in behind, who want to sit deep and soak up all of the pressure, then I think we lack ideas. And I think then actually what we become now is far too predictable. Because the one thing that I would really look at now, and especially after that game against Rayo last night, and the most concerning thing I feel about that performance, it had to be the crosses. And this is something that we saw under Ronald Koeman, that I hated it then, and we saw it last night again against a team in a low block, and I hate it now too, because we are crossing the ball too often, and we're panicking. Because yes, of course we know that Ousmane Dembele, he is a phenomenal crosser of the ball. We have seen that in some of our best wins over this year. He's been an important part of that, and we know that when he gets the space, he can deliver a very, very good cross. But it seems like now, since we've seen Dembele do some good things, do that on a number of occasions, we want to do that every time. And it seems like whenever we get the ball now, it's out to Dembele. We're giving it to him to then put a cross in time and time again, and it won't work every time. And opposition defences, they will wise up to that. And I actually think now Dembele is getting the ball too much, and it's too much for him. There's too much responsibility all placed on his shoulders. And I tell you now, our left side, it's basically ignored. And I'm talking there about the left wing position. Ferran Torres doesn't get the ball. And it's not just him either, because you look at it yesterday when Adama Traore came on. And this happens very, very frequently. When he comes on, he takes over from Dembele on the right. We do the same thing. It's out to Adama Traore. And again, he made a good impact yesterday. Ball's coming into the box, but then Dembele goes over to the left. You don't see him again. We completely ignore that area of the field. And what that does for me, it makes us very, very easy to defend against. It makes us unbalanced. And it leads to what we saw in the second half, especially towards the end of the game yesterday, whereby Barca panic. They lose all sense of style, all sense of structure, and that is not what we want to see. But there's definitely more to it too. There is more to our recent bad form and this real slump that we appear to be in than just things that are happening out there on the field, in terms of things that we can actually see. There's a lot as well that we can't see. And I want to talk now about motivation. I want to talk now about desire from this team, and something that honestly we haven't seen. Since the international break, we have lacked a real will to go and succeed, to go and win these games. And honestly, Xavi admitted it himself. I was amazed that Xavi openly said this this after the game yesterday, because Xavi said we were excited about the good run that we were on, about the good games that we were playing, but he said now it is not very motivating for a club like Barça to fight for second place. And then Xavi actually admitted, I made a mistake. He said, for me, as the coach, I failed to motivate the team. And like I said, I cannot believe that he's come out and said that. And I actually appreciate the honesty, but that isn't good. Because as Xavi says, now we've got to improve. He says we have to try and match the intensity, the desire of our rivals, of our opponents in every single game, because we have to play next season in the Champions League. And we've got to do that, guys, because I actually see a lot of fans saying, you know what, what's the point in the rest of the season? We've got nothing to play for now. And I understand, yes, that Barca never want to be fighting for second place. For us, second is losing. It is irrelevant. But in the grand scheme of things, we still need top four. We can't afford now to be arrogant and look down on fighting for Champions League places, because if we want to improve, if we want to actually get players in this summer, help this team rebuild, you need Champions League. And if we continue this slump, if we lack motivation, if we lack desire, we could fall out of that top four. And no matter what, that can't happen. And I think when we do that, take into account the way we played against these low block teams, and we look at the way that crossing has seeped more and more into our game style recently, we look at the lack of motivation, there's plenty of things that could obviously there impact our form in a negative way, but I think we also have to look, we have to be honest here and say, look, Barca right now are missing very key players. Now, I don't believe that injuries are an excuse. They're not something there that you can say and then everything else is acceptable, but it is something there that would explain our drop-off in form. I think the loss of Piqué over the past few games, yes, he managed to play against Sociedad and we got our way through that game. And I think that's what Piqué gives you there, that leader at centre-back. Not necessarily just about defending, but I think the whole team really rallies around Gerard Piqué. He is somebody there who can actually inspire some belief, inspire some motivation that we have been lacking recently, and without him, we really have suffered. But I have to talk about Pedri. There is no way that you can talk here about Barca's drop-off in form and not hold your hands up and say, missing Pedri has been massive for us. Because since he got injured there in the first half against Eintracht Frankfurt, there is absolutely no denying we're not the same team. Because you think back there to even just after the international break, when we were actually finding things difficult already, he was the one who was actually carrying us, scoring the winning goal against Sevilla. Phenomenal solo goal that was. He came off the bench then against Levante in La Liga. We were 1-0 down. He changed the game. He scored again. And I just think this illustrates here that he may be 19 years old. He may still be a young player. But you cannot doubt now the influence that Pedri has over this team and the importance of him. For me, he's the creative link between midfield and attack. He is the glue that holds this team together, that combines the two, and without him, there is no doubt we are simply not the same. But look, guys, with all of that said and with all of that considered, what I would like to say right now is this. I trust in Xavi and I trust in the team to turn this around. We have now 5 games left, and surely they realise there is no room for error now. That was our game in hand. We didn't take advantage of it. We didn't consolidate our place in the top 2, and now it means you've got to work. Forget about lacking motivation. Find it, because these are vital games, not just in our season, but in our future as a club. So please let me know, guys, your thoughts in the comments down below about whether you believe that Barca and Xavi can turn this around. What do you think needs to be done in order to do that in our remaining games this season? And of course, guys, I will be back because we will get through this. And we will do that, as we always have done, together. I will see you soon. Thank you indeed for watching and for supporting. But until next time, as always, Visca El Barça!